No, state senators are preparing to hear testimony in day 7 of Attorney General Ken Paxton's Senate impeachment trial. Just yesterday, testimony focused on a prosecutor from Houston hired by the AG to help Paxton's friend and political donor, Nate Paul. First, I want to say thank you for waking up again today. I know you had long days.
I'd be there. I would be there in person, but the duties of being a dad called this morning.
Listen,
so I have my own little hearing I got to deal with here in the land of sugar.
Yeah, so we just appreciate you carving out this time to do this. So thank you very much, sir. First, I want to start by talking about Brandon. Is it Kamak?
Kamak, yes.
Who is he? Why is he important?
So Brandon is an attorney who was about 36 years old, 35 years old when he got the phone call from the Attorney General of the state of Texas. He had only been out of law school for about 5 years. And here he is practicing in Houston. He had a very modest firm. He's a physical injury attorney by all accounts. And then suddenly the Attorney General reaches out to him directly through a mutual contact and says, I need you to come and work with me. I'd like for you to be a part of my team. I have a special project that I would like for you to be a part of. Well, that mutual contact happened to be Nate Paul's attorney, according to the testimony that we heard yesterday. So suddenly, he is brought on board through Nate Paul's attorney and the Attorney General in terms of a mutual introduction by Michael Wynn, Nate Paul's attorney. And suddenly, Brandon Kamak finds himself asking key questions and working on behalf of the Attorney General of Texas as a special prosecutor.
Imagine getting that call. You know, that it's an honor. You're right. It's exciting to get a call to be able to come and work for you.
Well, it is. And what I was trying to discuss with some people about it yesterday, and we put it into proper context. Okay, Brandon Kamak was not a seasoned attorney.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah.
And he was essentially, if you're going to put this in sports term, he was like a high school pitcher that was possibly being recruited for college, but not really getting much looks. And then suddenly the Houston Astros say, we'd like you to come and pitch for us.
Right.
It was that type of ascent. And you have to keep in mind that the former U.S. attorney, this is an experienced man, a former district attorney out of East Texas, opted not to be a part of this. He didn't get any phone calls back because he was asking a lot of questions. So it gave the impression, according to experts that I was talking to yesterday and through his testimony, that they wanted somebody who wasn't very well experienced to come in and do this type of work. And even though Brandon Kamak was not very experienced, he started to see some signs. And he talked about this at one point with regards to encrypted messaging apps. Take a listen to what he has to say.
Well, did you use any kind of encrypted communications?
Yeah, I think about the middle of the month, he asked me to use the Signal app, which I wasn't really familiar with at the time. I just thought it was like a WhatsApp or just a
You were unfamiliar with Signal app at that time?
I'd never used it before.
All right. And how did that come about that he wanted you to communicate with him using Signal app?
He asked me on a phone call to download the app and use that.
So there you have Brandon Kamak talking about how the Texas Attorney General, right, a person who talks about transparency, who rules on public information, was now working off of an app with encrypted messaging that wasn't able to track his text messages, and they were also working with emails through Proton, another encrypted service, Proton emails. Why is this significant? Because of the fact that you have information, business being done for the state of Texas, by the state of Texas, done secretly. And that, according to attorneys I've spoken with, is a violation of the Texas Public Information Act. And that right there is an issue that Rusty Hardin and his team did not drill down on. They might do it in closing, but many thought they would. What was also intriguing about Brandon Kamak is that he didn't work for he didn't work for a long time for the Attorney General. So he's there working for the Attorney General for about 3 weeks. That's it. He gets brought in. He's all excited. He's going to be a special prosecutor. He starts trying to help out Nate Paul, the friend and donor. And then suddenly things are starting to turn a little bit south. He's hearing about these encrypted messages. And then one day at his Houston office, the U.S. Marshals show up. He shares that story. Take a listen.
Yeah, the U.S. Marshals showed up at my office down in Houston.
Yeah. Do you remember what day that was?
Maybe October 1st.
Who was the
there.
first? Federal marshals were at your office?
They came by my office.
Who was the first person you contacted?
I called Mr. Paxton, blowing his phone up. Like, why are there U.S. Marshals at my office?
How many times you called him?
Probably 5, 6 times, text messaging, and he answered his phone.
On the 5th time?
One of the times.
All right. And how often were you calling him until you got him?
Well, my secretary comes back and says, there's U.S. Marshals here at the office, and I'm like, what? What's going on? And then I just start blowing his phone up until he answers it.
In your mind, certainly, had you done anything wrong that would merit anybody in law enforcement coming to see you, in your mind?
No, sir.
All right. So the first person you called was the Attorney General?
Yes, sir.
And when you got him, what did he say?
He told me don't talk to him without counsel.
So he told you to get a lawyer before you talk to them?
That's correct.
Lawyer up, Zach. That was the message that Brandon King testified to yesterday, that the Attorney General told him once he had U.S. Marshals
Showing up at his place.
suddenly
Yeah.
show up at his front door.
Yeah. To lawyer up, to get counsel, get representation. Mario, in addition to Brandon, how many witnesses did we hear from on Tuesday?
We heard from a total, 4 witnesses on Tuesday. Similar to what we saw on Monday, Kamick, without a doubt, dominated the grand portion of the day. And what you should anticipate here today is that they'll be calling more witnesses, and these witnesses are going to start to get quicker and quicker as they find themselves getting closer and closer to that time deadline that the prosecution has in this case.
Are we still going to meet that deadline? Are things still on track to potentially be wrapped up this weekend?
Well, they're expecting this to be in the hands of the jury possibly as early as tomorrow. Keep in mind, the dynamics of this trial are so different from a regular courtroom. Each side, as we have indicated, has 24 hours, 2-4. That's all they get to present this case. And you have to realize that if you're questioning somebody at any point, that's time that comes off of your account. So you have to manage that time carefully. Now, if you're Rusty Hardin in team prosecution, you have to wrap up your case probably with about 2 hours to spare. That way, you're allowed the ability to cross-examine anybody from Team Busby. Because let's say if you're Rusty Hardin and you present your entire case in 24 hours, then suddenly Tony Busby says, well, they're done. We still have 4 hours. We can bring up the Attorney General and have him talk and answer any question we want, and no one can ever cross-examine him. That's what makes this trial different. And that's what makes the clock management such an important aspect to the deliberations or the proceedings that we're seeing inside the Senate chamber.
I know the center of this conversation has been this mistress. Do you anticipate that she potentially could take the stand today?
I see them being called. I see 4 key individuals now being called. I see the mistress being called, Zach. I see Michael Wynn. He is a Houston-based white-collar criminal defense attorney, the man who is Nate Paul's attorney, who also helped recruit Brandon Kamick. I also see a 3rd individual that was very closely associated to the Paxton family. He was sort of the man that was always around him. A body man is what the term that insiders in Austin have told me. He's also someone that the family has viewed very close to them. They view him as a son almost. And then the 4th person I'd expect to be called here is Nate Paul. So we do know that the Attorney General cannot be called at any point during this trial. But if you bring up the mistress, if you bring up Michael Wynn, and if you bring up this other individual that is viewed as the body man, you'd expect them to immediately say, I plead the 5th.
Yeah.
So that's where you're expecting them to kind of draw this out in terms of really pushing up team Harden, the prosecution, really pushing up to like the last hour and calling these guys just in case they were to testify. Many people don't expect Nate Paul to testify. Many people don't expect the mistress to testify. And there are questions as to whether or not Michael Wynn will testify or plead the fifth. As for this other individual that's very close to the Paxtons, everything's unsure. I will say this, Zach. Many people thought that Brandon Kamick was going to plead the fifth, and he did not. He testified. And you heard the testimony there about encrypted messaging apps, emails that they were using that were you couldn't trace them, as well as other information.
Yeah, the Fed showing up at his office here in Houston. Okay, could be a loaded day coming out of Austin. Mario Diaz live for us this morning. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, it is 8:51. We want to bring you back to that breaking news we told you about at the top of the hour. Escaped murderer Danella Calvicente was captured moments ago, or we should say at the top of the hour, after nearly a